Hey, I'm Gavin, and I watched Chris McDonald point at the beauty of a rainbow and express an interest in story. And as I meditated on beauty and my experience and my lack of experience with beauty, and beauty as a pattern throughout all of existence, in which there are different kinds of dances that are expressed and may or may not be received because there may or may not be different kinds of blindness. I eventually remembered how numb and blind I can be to beauty, and it occurred to me that one of my practices for cultivating a way of being grateful and joyful is to remember the less fortunate experiences which I have experienced, and the stories from those who are less fortunate. And so we can end up with a library of stories which we remember, and by remembering and through that contrast, we can see where we're at in comparison to the potential misery which could be. And so, for example, I can remember sleeping on the cold rocks and out in the weather as I'm lying in bed in the mornings with a shelter and with sheets and blankets and a mattress. I can compare those. Or as I go to eat my food, I can remember the fast. I can remember going without food. And so I can lean on those, my own personal stories. And if I forget those, perhaps I'll suffer until that suffering is incorporated into my remembering, such that I will be a more grateful and joyful person. But wouldn't it be great if we could remember stories about the suffering that others have gone through? And so the rainbow could end up being a compression of a very powerful story. And I think for some people it is. So Chris McDonald shared some clips of just an elated, enamored human shouting with joy at a rainbow. And I could imagine that that's what it might be like when Noah and his family saw the rainbow. And that rainbow can end up being the compression of a lot of things. I mean, you could imagine that the person in the video that Chris showed just went through hell. There can be the contrast, like a tornado. Who knows? And so I like the idea that our stories can help us remember times which were filled with more pain and suffering, such that we can contrast them with our current times. And they can serve as a warning for the future, and they can serve as a reminder so that we truly appreciate, and not just truly appreciate, but maybe become filled with appreciation to the largest quantity and quality possible. And so this is the function of story, the function of good stories. This is what occurs to me. And so maybe we can share the stories which are useful, that can help us be reminded, such that we become better people. Because if you are a person who is able to notice the beauty, the goodness, the truth about our world and about the patterns which exist, and understand what should be avoided, then life gets better. And if we can't remember good stories, we will continue experiencing pain and suffering, which will result in more stories, the opportunity for more people to have a story and to share a story and to tell stories, so that we can be reminded of what is good, true, and beautiful. So that's what story is for. That's what occurs to me.